from Holland, and I have placed many lectures, movies on YouTube, and supported by little connections to topics on my Instagram and Facebook account, especially my Instagram. I got 2 accounts, one for my normal stuff and one more scientifically, psychology, biology, evolution, more common goods about the world in our life. But yesterday I placed a lecture on YouTube with so-called universe, the speed of light and gravity. It was a speed lecture, and the difficulty is to tell others the complete picture of what you're thinking of, what you're supposed to know and what you think that's going on, because there are many questions, many strange situations that they struggle with, just like the wave particle duality. And I made some Dutch lectures about this, like many other lectures about everything that I'm interested in. And with this lecture about light, I came up with the thoughts that the universe exists. It's something not just hanging over there. Planets, stars, galaxies don't hang up just like there. They just don't hang out somewhere. And light, even light, is easy to understand, but you must accept that light, although they think it's a wave, particle, duality, fluctuation, but in both their appearances, there is a struggle. Because both of them connects. Einstein and Schrödinger, they couldn't agree about each other's theory about if it's a particle or if it's a wave. A particle is related to the old started science from the Greek, and later on, for instance, Newton, who find together with other in their time period, other mathematics, scientists, etc. And they had a duality for what they think, what it should be, and they're also looking for dark matter, dark energy. So there are a few questions that in my simple brain just don't fit in. Therefore, 40 years ago and 30 years ago and upgoing is my knowledge. I came from another direction, but my education is from the bottom, all up. I didn't study, I don't have a degree of scientist or whatsoever. But I learned many things, and during my life I ask myself questions, and I study books, and I study lectures and documentaries and so on and so on, and internet is overfilling you with information, and you have to pick the right book for what you're looking for answers. So during life, and maybe I can refer to this is an old preacher from the village where I live. It's about 1600. He started here in Holland. It's in my village, in my little town, for the first church in our community. And he lectured, and he did write some Bibles from his thoughts, from his needs, from his urge to tell others and help others to live by a structure, by a thought, or something. It's religious, of course. Here we got Galileo Galilei. This is one of the great thinkers, maybe not scientist, but a great thinker. I got also nog it's a little book, 1770 or 80, small book about the village I live. This is a map from a boundary for our village, and here is a beautiful colored. Maybe I can. Is it easy to get? Yeah. Well, isn't it beautiful? It's really beautiful. It's all about the color where the book is going for. And I hope I can place it back. It doesn't fall off, I hope. So people are always urged to write something down. In the Middle Ages, in prehistoric times, people want to express themselves, they want to explain things, they want to know, because that's a survival method to know more or better than the other, at least for your enemies. But further on, I stand maybe just out of the corner. I got also a picture from Leonardo da Vinci, and I got also a picture of Sir Isaac Newton, and this is Michelangelo, and I'm searching for other pictures like Mr. Escher about his beautiful drawings, and maybe some other I will get them along the way, and stuff keep on falling to the earth. But all these people are thinkers. We are all thinkers, no matter what. Even you are just not so smart and not so widely orientated. We are all thinkers. We think. Every neuron in the smallest organism in life actually thinking, reacting on. But we have to start with the first big questions, and everybody is dealing with it. Imagine there is completely nothing. This is absolute nothing. No reflections, nothing, none whatsoever. But still, somehow, by an old theory, assumed for other components of math and science and ideas in science, they said, well, the universe once started over here with an enormous Big Bang. And always hard to imagine that this is not just. So we are now over here in time. We all know this. Beautiful pictures and simulations, animations and movies about it. The formation of energy and matter, and later on and further eventually there is a sun with Earth and other planets around it. Here there were atoms, protons, neutrons and electrons. And here were particles, energy and so on. And from this to this, you are also, of course, because we are so when this is a galaxy, and somewhere in the Milky Way, one of all these galaxies, there is a solar system over here. So this is what we think what it is. Well, you've got some variations right now, because they think that we are now, and it is and one. That's this line over here, and this is many years long ago. So the universe, with all the calculations and their, how do I say it, what I think things are working, they came up with this model. But actually, it's a dot. It's not, when it started somewhere, it was a dot, a nutshell, like written in a book from Stephen Hawking. But actually, it's when it started here, it started expanding. It expands over here, and this is uncertain. This line is uncertain, and this is this line, so over here. So you have to, you must understand the idea that it's not starting here and going over there. It starts inner and it's going out. It's, they call it an inflation model. So actually it's a ball. And when I only draw this one over here, where we are right now, maybe here, this one is our timeline at this moment. And when I draw this to give it a more three-dimensional thought, this axis, and this. So it came from this little part and expanded all the way up to here. And during this expansion, this inflation, there is another thing to think about it. Where comes all this energy, all this expansion from? And there is another thing. This process, by this, till this point, that is based on observing with telescopes and prismas with, I will use this red one, red shifting just does the frequency of the light that they see is redshifted. The frequency means that says when they look everywhere with a telescope in the universe, and in this changing of this frequency, this is high and this will be lower, and when it's expanding, you're going this or that direction. And when they say you have a redshift, that means this is this way. When it would be shrinking, it would be going this way. So they call it then blue shift. And somehow, when you are an observer on Earth and you watch your galaxy, and this is turning, and use the black marker, when this is turning this way, then it's so that from here on, what you see here is blue shift, and here it's further away, that is red shifted. And even this, in this meanwhile, so and this is nil and this is nil, so on this marker you see an average thing over here. And though in the expansion site they observe, some beautiful satellites and telescopes, yeah, how do you say it? It doesn't matter. They store all this information and they process it, and with beautiful equipment and beautiful people scientists who are able to translate this to this function what happens over here. But there's a common shift to the right, to red. So they say there's a red shift. And that means they say then the universe is expanding. The universe is expanding. And in that formula of all the equations, all the math formulas, all the scientific math and formulas and models there are, they came out with this idea. When it expands, boarding this line, this speed line, and although we are here and this is not uncommon, I will get soon over that, there is created a thought that the universe is created. And creation of something is always related on, and I don't write it down, it's created by a creator or a creation or creationist or whatsoever. So even they are scientists, they still hold on to the same belief that other people does with their beliefs on the religion. And this is just a Dutch version of Dutch Reformed believers for that time, for this group, for this place. He also believed there was a creation of life, planets, life, human, animals, everything there is in the universe is created. In this modern redshift, they thought they had a technical solution for the start over here, and they call it the Big Bang. And for many years, many years, it was what it is, what they thought it was. And the only thing they are looking at from, okay, it's expanding. Why is it expanding? Why isn't it shrinking? Why isn't it dissolve? Why doesn't it shock? So there are many possibilities from this universe expanding. It's only just a ball. And don't forget, this is only one timeline translation to what's going here. So it starts here, it flats out, and then it suddenly gets some smoother expansion. So it expands very fast, and then it finds its way to create all this beautiful planet stuff. Me, this plate, and this stift, and my car, and this lamp. And they struggled a bit with these equations, and they try everything to find why is it there, why is there mass, why is there energy, there must be some dark energy, dark matter, etc. But that is because they are limited in their thoughts about other stuff. I've talked about it in other lectures about it, and the beautiful thing is that if you don't bound yourself by what you read and what you see, if you are a out-of-the-box thinker, a free thinker, when you are not bounded by boundaries, you just, I'm alive, I live here, I have to live between these boundaries of life. But when I see this all together, I think, well, okay, it's expanding. Yeah, what is expanding? Yeah, the universe is expanding, space-time, ether, or quantum field, quantum fluctuation, whatever. So they are now thinking about the next things. It's possible that maybe the universe will not expand and dissolve in nothingness, entropy, and is it actually everything is zero. Everything. Or they can say, well, it can go back. And it's coming back to a Big Bang, to a big crunch. So it's expanding and then it's really compressed together and it's start over again. So probably when this is the case, then there will be a point that everything is turning right. All the moons and stars and planets and atoms and matter and electrons and all the particles, all the quarks have to shift it in a zero simulation and then turn clockwise, and then it can dissolve back and everything will dissolve back into, but it's not nature. What they see, what's happening over here, will never crunch back into a point in a big crunch. So it started with a nil, null, zero, and it will end zero. So in theory, when there is actually something static about it, then it could be. So it's expanding and it's compressing and everything is turning clockwise half the way. And just like it's strange about what they think about life in our solar system, they said we are about half the time that our solar system will exist. But they also calculate about it that they also are yet about halfway our universe. Sorry, sometimes English is not so good. So there are many ideas about what the universe will become to. Will it start it over again, so it dissolves, and then, so this is all going to end to zero, and then started a new universe again. Maybe everything is right turning, and maybe this will be a universe that is left turning. Or does it just dissolve to nothing, entropy zero? So they are quite busy, all these great scientists and all this equipment, all these satellites, all this beautiful equipment that they shoot out in space or do here on Earth, on Saturn, for instance, and many telescopes, radio telescope, all to see and watch what's going out there. Because we are anxious to know, because imagine we make some mistakes and we are not halfway the existence of our solar system. Maybe we have only left a thousandth of this billions of years, and maybe is our universe over something, what I say it, about a changing point, and maybe we have only left 20 years, 200 years, 2000, we don't know exactly in this model. But what I will do is I will erase this and I'll start over with a single thought. So this is what we know about everything, and they calculate, they know exactly where all the sun, planets, moons, etc., and all these little particles that they measured in CERN. This is a small accelerator, a bigger accelerator, and the biggest accelerator. And in this cross section between these tubes, they have an experiment or otherwise, but they are measured, combined, compute, and there is an amount of particles in this diagram or in this two-phase matrix, or when you put this KVA, it doesn't matter in the other dimension. But for this, it's all about a wave, and it's all about a spin. everything in our universe is spinning, vibrating. There is nothing, completely nothing. Imagine I have a ball or a box. It doesn't matter what I have. Even a box isn't just a box. Even a ball isn't just a ball. When I pick out here one atom, or here, proton, neutron, electron, and if it's a wave or it's a particle wave or it's a such a thing, it doesn't matter. Even it's an equation knot between these, what I say it, frequency knots. Maybe there is some frequencies and others, and sometimes when they pass each other in the same things, so that you got one electron, 2, 3, and when you got higher frequencies with other high frequencies, they're probably here, and you've got in an outer boundary, just like this, just like the Earth, the Sun, and our universe. These boundaries are all moving. There is nothing static about it. And then, well, I have to erase it in a short while, just very soon. But in the third grade thinkers, Einstein, I got this little statue over there in house, in my room, but he's not here. Einstein said, well, the universe is static, and he has made some mistakes about it, and it's coming back. But in this understanding of expanding universe, there is a force. There is a force that it makes expand. And there is nothing static expanding. There is always wave or movement or a spin. And these spins, in correction with the energy, they are fitted in some particles, the quarks and basic elements of our known existence of matter in our life. But even when you look at the matter, it's always having a spin or a frequency, and it got amount related of energy. So this together, a spin and a movement, is always a part of this kilovolt electron. So that's all related about. So there is nothing static in the universe for all, even when the process can be static or it's changing with dynamic and static forces, or static and dynamic forces are also twisting forces. So it's not stating, nothing expands like this, a balloon or something like that, or a sun that will finally burn up. But all the particles of the sun that are burning at the end is an expanding gas, and it's formation of all these particles, of fusion of particles all together. Everything is a vibration, everything is a wave, everything is a spin. Nothing just moves over there. Even a wave on water, on a river or the ocean, they all are things that we notice, but it's all moving particles interacting with each other with a static and dynamic forces, and you create a static dynamic distortion, and the outcome is depending on this medium, water, air, or gas, or even when you see the old pictures of meteorites hitting Earth, you got a beautiful round pattern. When a meteor hits Earth, it has this way, this thing, or a crater. That means you got something like this. When you really hit it, even when he hit it this direction, as long as he doesn't bounce, as soon as he falls, you get some crater, and finally dust what collects together. That's what you see if you let something drop in water. First this will drop, and then this will draw back, and then finally you get the distortion expanded the other way. This is static and dynamic forces. And all this water and all these particles, all these stones, all these things, all these water or air molecules, atoms, they are moving, they are interacted by the forces that are being hit, being reacted through. Action, reaction. But I will erase this. You know, sometimes you have to erase your thoughts and start. I looked at it. And I think I take off on the shirt because it's a little bit cold here in my. Anyway, where I do this kind of things. So we start off with nothing. So imagine that redshift or the shifting this is the electromagnetic wave. This is light. This is light, an electromagnetic wave. Well, this electromagnetic wave does this on this place, on this frequency. And it means electric. We all know this kind of animation drawing. So this is this way, this is the electric energy and this is the magnetic. This is negative electric and it is negative magnetic. So it's always up, down, up, down, up and down. This is left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. And in my understanding of light and also for the universe for this moment, I thought, well, when I sit still and I watch a wave passing by through water and I could stop it for one moment, then I said, okay, this is an electromagnetic, static, dynamic changing in something, not just, it's just there. No, it will never be. It always has to go through some medium. So, a long time ago, they thought light is ether. So they thought light was just a wave. And later on there people thought, well, there must be matter. And they called it photons. And it was a wave. So everything they are calculated and used and measured and tried and experienced. This functions, and they said an electromagnetic wave. But what they can't do is they cannot combine this light. Well, that's odd. It exists both ways, but it doesn't. They cannot connect it to each other. They call it a wave-particle duality. Well, I always thought, well, then it's actually easy, because when this energy goes up and down, when this goes up and here it goes down, then from the moment this is over here, there is some inertia, energy somewhere, because when I spot it over here and I look with the biggest microscope there is, or a microscope in the universe, and I will watch, and even though on this line, so over this line, I will see over here, so this line comes from over there, and this line comes over here, and this line goes up, and this line goes up. Then I still, and then, okay, what I do, I still get another microscope and watch, and at the end I see, actually I would only see some cross line in this moment. So that means that light, an electric magnetic wave, moves through something. It's an electric static movement of the basic components of our universe. So I thought, well, then this is the moment where you see a photon, and when this is a sudden frequency on this point, you got a photon that commits exactly this density, this small, this quick. So we got some photons over here during about amount of seconds. So what really then happens is, that means that this energy at this point, it cannot be dissolved somewhere. It must have been an exchanging of energy levels or energy of twisting of this wave particle spin principle. What happens here? This is where the spin is maximized. So I can take it, I will do it this way, and it will goes all the way up, this way, this way. So here it's 0, so you have no spin, and so you have a maximal outcome of the other one. So this, what happens here, got also is a 90-degree twisted something at the outcome. So that means that somehow we got an electromagnetic, and this is then, I think maybe we can call it a wave spin photon outcome, photon with a P, photon. So what happens in light? And light cannot travel just as a line, it can only just one frequency, this specific frequency, or this one, or this over here. And it means, and I will show you a short, for example, if you look at this, you see, well, in the same time, for this frequency, imagine you have a longer frequency. And for that one we have, so this is backwards, forwards, downwards, upwards. So this is vector, 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 vector. So you see that you got something beautiful coming out here, because now you can say, in the same time, you got a photon over here, a photon, and a photon, and a photon is this. That's a distortion what you take back from our ether, quantum foam, space, however we call it. And then you got this beautiful, and I take this one over here. If this is up and this is down, we can say it's counterwise. This is what we do over here. So this is, a vector is up, down, and this is going up, the vector is up. So it's always counterwise, clockwise, no, counterwise in the same twist, spin direction that everything moves. And you also got a connection of this one over here, and you got a connection, and this one. So this is a vector, and this one is a vector to this one, and this one. You see, so there's always an exchange of spin and movement, always. So electromagnetic forces, so electromagnetic waves, that's this one, and a wave spin photon, that's this. And this is, for instance, cosinus, and this is sinus. So then you got a relation with an electromagnetic force somewhere. There's 19 degrees, it's plus, minus, plus, minus, plus, minus. And when you go plus, left, minus, right, plus, left, minus, right, plus, left, minus, right. And on this point, it's somewhere. There cannot be an energy going nowhere. That's what I always said. 20, 30 years I came up with this idea, and I write some books for myself, but I didn't publish because I was not knowledge that I need. So I understand this thing. I understand this thing, that it's the only thing, the reason light cannot just be a package that you can buy in some store, or you can say, well, it's coming from that. And who? It doesn't matter. It has to be related to calculations, math, formulas, nature, just like it goes. So light is not just photons, it's not just a wave, it's a wave-photon combination. And here you got this beautiful combination, because from this is the black one is the movement, right, down, left, upper, right, down, left, upper, according to sinus fluctuation. And in the cosinus function you got these counterwise, up, left, down, right, up, left, down, right. Therefore you got an interaction and a combination of something that exists somewhere. That proves that there is the ether. And I told in another lecture about gravity, about ether, that they have tried to find it, and they went it with a Michelson, and more they tested this, but the outcome was thinking that not this way, that everything is, even from what happens here in this process of these beautiful kilovolt electrons and spins in this basic particles of the universe, is so called for this level, where we can think of, because even this is created by something else. It's not coming out of this box, just, you cannot buy it in the grocery store or something else. So light proves that there is something like this, and that you're making an experiment in 1870 about Earth moving through the ether. No, every matter is an interaction with the basic parts, the basic movements, platform, how you call it, where the universe is made of. So this is my idea about it. Therefore, I am not lost in wrong interpreted scientific test that didn't make out. So I hope also you can understand that as soon as you got bigger outcome in this sinus cosinus interaction, 90 degrees. Then it has a spin, it has a direction. This is exactly what's going up here. This is what's going up here. This is what is happening, what's going. Even for the smaller particles, they just behave through this level of where they are on this line of frequency or spin. And there's also a line, this is our universe. And all the way down is our particles. This is what we know, and they are searching and thinking about the smaller parts. This is our universe, and we're thinking about every other thing where we have this, where I've showed before this, what I tell you here. And all the way down there is this in parts. Here you got atoms, here you got some matter, just like materials, you got some Earth, planets, you got some galaxies, you got some galaxy groups, and this is the universe. Hello. And then what I started with this white board. This is really a white board. This is like a nail board. There is nothing. There is not nothing, and it cannot be nothing. It's there, and it's hard for us to understand that there is always something smaller for this. There's always something smaller for this, and there's always something more to go for out there. So in this expanding process, you see an expansion of all the matter that has an interaction that creates something, and it does it this way. It's never ending, and this way is never coming. And we on Earth, matter here on Earth, galaxies on Earth, the solar system, Earth, and we live on it. And this is our timeline, 2023. This is where we live in our universe, here in this big part where it's all together and everywhere in the universe. You can zoom in, you get a microscope as big as the universe, and you will find this. And when there would be an entity, or there would be a mind thinking, well, then even that is created out of something. But there will never be, there cannot, that's philosophy in utmost recognition. There cannot be a start from something, because then it's created by something, and it will never be. It's the hardest thing to imagine and understand. There is nothing smaller than this. You think there is something smaller, only smaller than this. And maybe, and I believe that Feynman, and I have to shoot it a little bit fresh in a smaller way, I think Feynman, sorry if I critical, and other people Richard Feynman, he came up with this idea that the universe is actually something, that when you start from nothing to everything, and we are here right now, 2023, then we are right here on this place, this moment. And in this interaction of this redshift model, that's only because you measure this from our place on Earth, on this star system, this galaxy groups, universe, and this is our man, and these are atoms. And in this thing, it comes all from out the inner, in its inflates for our, for our understanding, it inflates. And it comes right this way. And because light is an interaction, is a manifestation by this wave, spin, electromagnetic forces exchange in our universe, either in our universe platform. So everywhere, when you, the bigger the mass is, and you further on came into more mass, the sun, solar system, with all these planets going around, and all these galaxies doing the thing together to create a universe, or to fill a universe. There is, in this interaction, mass is a further on created in this particle system, in this wave, spin movement, electromagnetic forces. This is moving up in a scale throughout the universe, from everywhere in the universe. And mass is just a created, combined force, bigger than a photon in the next phase of in this thing. So in the chart of dimensions, in the chart of dimension, you first start with elements like this, and it's always bigger, 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 even when we can't see further or we can't see back deeper. Then you see that light don't have to be is not constant. And I won't curse, but this light is just where it is. Everywhere where you are, inside mass or outside or on Earth or nearby a sun or in the sun, the curvature of time or gravity from a sun, they mostly draw it like this, and Earth is a little smaller one and smaller one, and all even particles have the same, not so good, but this is the place somewhere in the atom where this proton, neutron, electron has a steady place, plus, minus, but they never draw this side of this figure. They always try this one, I, X and Z. There is also this, so this place where it has a steady place to go, to manifest, to go around in this twisting, turning system, because nothing stands still. Even when there is a steady block, and you create a box or a house or a ball of a car, every combined thing here, even atom, is related to particles in this, and every place from just like this, Earth is going up here in the galaxy, when Earth is going for this direction, and Mars and Jupiter and so on, they all got common places that fixes darkness. This is perfectly combined, just like by this. So the gravity between two masses, Sun and Earth, is equal to the centrifuge power of the forces. The planet doesn't go this way, in this way. So mass is an interaction, is a combined interaction, a built-up interaction throughout this process, that the universe is actually doing this, and therefore there has to be a counterwise. This is our universe. It starts here from the smallest to the biggest. And what we see and what we know, this is all the matter that we see. So this is going outside. So in this translation over here, we are here watching things going on this time. This is this moment, this time is over here. And in this changing from what something is expanding, there's also something compressing. And that's just like this light. It's the counter, let's say it, the level of being exchanging. When you press, you take something out. When you compress, you take something in. There is always an interaction in all these movements, in all our universe. Everything is expanding on this moment, but there's also always something like that it's, how do you say it in English? It equals the total amount of energy. And redshift, and that the world of our universe started with a Big Bang, that also have to be started something somewhere or have to exist. A Big Bang is just maybe this moment, just in a movement that's going on. It moves on time after time. And therefore a universe is not constant. That's what Einstein said. Our universe is a constant movement of spin, wave and interaction with where it's built of. And the universe is endlessly expanding for this behavior, but it's ook als inertia on reaction on this expansion, it compresses the same counterwise. Just like light got an electromagnetic wave, there is a cosinus electromagnetic a wave spin photon reaction. So on every wave, on every spin, on every particle that exists here, on a bigger scale, on another frequency scale, from here to there, you got this thing together. So this, what's going in and out, it cannot be just like that, but it's imaginary sort of, but actually it becomes, this is not happening. It's actually, also this is a little bit trying to help you to understand it. I hope I got some place over here. When we come from here and we expand from here and we expand to here, where we are now in our universe, in this moment, on this place, this time, it will keep on expanding, but in the meantime there is a counter reaction where it gets its leveling from the energy, from the spin, all the energy that it has to change. It goes otherwise, so it comes from the outer region and it's combined from the inner region, and therefore it's a little bit this horn, this snail house that they draw. So there's always, when you expand, there's a combination of that. So there is a static movement in our universe, and that is what we see with this component of redshift. But there's actually a red and blue shift working on the other side, from where all this matter is created from. So it comes out and it combines back, and probably that's where they are looking for, that this process, it compensates. This is all, there is matter has formed, and with black holes, and I think, and I'm not this far, I'm not so far with this knowledge or something, that black holes, when here's a black hole somewhere in this galaxy, and there, so this point of compensation for what I draw here, this compensation between wave, electromagnetic wave and a wave spin like a photon, this exchange happens over here when I do it two-dimensional in time, so I do it two-dimensional the direction, but actually it's expanding and it's leveling out from our inner ether. Our ether is just one big soup. That our universe is not just things with particles or waves. Everything that they are trying to explain, all the big and great scientists, and some are already left this their life, our world. Nothing, what they think of, what they can account, compute, whatever they think about, what they create, what they propose, what they suppose, cannot be something just like that. You cannot buy it in a grocery store. So we have to accept that life is never ending. It never started and it's never ending in this process. And even when that is created, then it's a beautiful process because we cannot see the start and we will not see the end, because it's constantly moving outwards, compensation inwards with another dimension where it levels out. I think they can recall it ether, and they must let loose that the speed of light is constant. Speed of light is changing because light is traveling through an interaction medium called ether, and that ether is affected by this interaction where all this energy, all this spin and all these waves and all these electromagnetic forces are gathered together. So to create mass, you create a lot of spin, a lot of directional movement from this local part of our universe. These parts do, and they create something together. It's gathered a bigger mass, and therefore this mass interrupts. It disrupts the space, not in time, but it disturbs space. It influences space. And if you change the formula from this is always the same, in every formula you can change it, not by this, but you can say speed of light here is somewhere in the outer centrum, and the speed of light at the surface of the sun, well, it's always on the surface of the sun, that's the speed of the surface of the sun, of halfway. So the influence of space-time time is not, there is still dilatation of time, there is, but this is changing. The speed of light is changing, and gravity doesn't need space-time, because where is space-time made of? Space-time is also not buyable in any store, not on bol.com or whatsoever. So attraction, gravity, is created by all these dimension, frequency steps in this process of our universe. And so-called gravity pull lines are actually that these waves of light move through the ether that is reformed of this, disrupt, which changed in another interaction. It's combined, it's all gathered together. And the speed inside of this is immense, and the further you go out is the speed of this inertia system. This system over here, this is slower than here in the inside. And mass, there is no mass that you can feel. It's the twisting process of the inner of our ether in our universe, a platform. The inertia creates, just like magnetic forces, and it's also, I drew on it before, I got some place over here. When we draw Earth, that's not so beautiful one, but I hope you forgive me. They say this is North Pole, South Pole, and in this so-called, there's always a spin of these magnetic field lines that you see. It's another phase in this process of what is happening over here in all these beautiful physics that there already is, but there is no north and there is no south attraction or oh no, this is the line over here. When you draw a line over here, it's so-called the same line. So this is the outcome. This is what it is. When you look upwards, it's like the right hand row for electricians. This is all moving this way. All particles, this local created in this distortion from all these beautiful scientists who work about this exchanging of influencing by these magnetic forces, electromagnetic forces. You create magnetic forces on this local place somewhere in the universe around this beautiful Earth, because it's got a iron middle in here. But it's what happens over here. This is all, maybe we can say it's right turning. It's always right turning. So right, it always spins like this. Every tiniest part of our universe, our ether, where the universe exists from, the gathered mass, it's twisted something like this. So when you do this, and you have, imagine you have two magnetic Earth, they twist, and they have the same rotation, so they combine. And soon you got a magnetic ball of Earth thing, or you have another planet, and this is so, and then you got a counterclockwise movement, and that creates an outer force. And as soon as they are twisting in the same direction, it's an attraction. And when you change this from each other, so counterwise, then they will be forced out of each other, because there is no north, there is nothing in the world, nothing in the universe will say, sorry, we have to just accept it. You are plus and I am minus. There is no plus or minus in nowhere in whole universe. There is no plus or minus. There is only movement, directions in our universe. So there is only a direction of spin or relative movement or extraction, exhaustion or compression. Everything there is a spin from all these little particles, even in this quantum foam, quantum fluctuation that they have been nearly, I think in some experiments they already discovered that they can show little creations of this electromagnetic shown surface by quantum physics. I think I've seen something by other lectures, but it's all movement, it's all vibrating in combination of it vibrates and it twists. There is a spin about it. There is no north or south, there's no attraction or we call it different direction to where it goes to. There is no, maybe there is a small place left over here. Can I see that? Yeah, it must be true. Well, I do it over here. No, small here. If you do this, and we say this is plus, no, doesn't matter if the magnetic forces or other forces, there is no negative or positive. There's only a spin, there's only a wave, there's always an interaction from where it's created. And when you got some over here, two magnetic balls, the upper one is minus, and they, in the old system I think they call this north, and this is south, and this is south, and this is north. Then it will go this direction. And when you do it otherwise, let's do it here, when you do this upper plus, then it's this south, sorry, then I do this other one, this is minus. You know, when this is really wood, this is what I imagine this, so this is south, south, south. So north and south pole, when you do this, they attract to each other. And this pushed each other away. Why? Why? In this combination of this, I think, why? There is nothing that can, sorry, you have to go back. And these two, plus and minus, they are also combined in this magnetic ball. So, but when you can say this is left turning or right turning, this is right turning, probably the right hand rule in electric statics. This is just twisting this direction, and when another expanding, twisting, spin, wave system, something other is twisting in the same direction, then it combines their forces. But as soon as this one is in the other direction twisting, then it bounces to each other. So north and south should be changed. I think this is right, it's right turning from where you started, and we call it right turning by this electromagnetic rule for magnetic fields. But also the magnetic fields are not north-south, it's one direction with right or left turning this way. It's just the outcome of the movement in our universe. So simple as that, I think. And others can challenge me to tell me more about this. But I don't study science to learn what others told me, what others show me. I ask questions also. Light cannot be traveling just like well, this is one light, 1,000 frequencies. And this is another frequency. And this is very low frequency. That's not nature. That's not nature. And when this will be a mass somewhere, meaning that this is our planet, this is Earth. And it's hanging over there in our universe, just like that. So this is Earth, so it's hanging there. It falls, it will be attracted, will be pushed away. So there's this mass is an interaction. For therefore, when this is not so heavy, what means interaction with our local place in our universe on this dot, on this place on Earth, here not, and this is mass. This is where I hold my pens, my pencils. This mass has a small combined interaction from our universe, where it's existing from, and these phases that is of dimension are on this some kind place to be. So there will be smaller places and there will be bigger places in time and in space and in dimension. So mass is an interaction from the universe where we exist from. And all this scattered matter is this more combined matter together with all these beautiful pictures. But it's all based on this principle. Expanding principle where everything twists some way, just like this magnetic fields. There is compensation clockwise from the other, or from the inner to the outer. So when it expands, it compresses. When it twists, it's clockwise twist. There's always an interaction for what we see. So as long there is a movement, as long we expand, as long as it has to be compressed, has to be, we say that, it's a hard word for me, but I will find, but it is a compensation. There's always a compensation. When you expand, there's always a compensation. Entropy, we call it thermodynamics, is also working at the same level, and it works on the level of atoms, electric, heat exchange is working here. So every part of the system is called, what they've done over here, when you will be create a bigger graphics and this, you shall see that all this are just another step in dimension, in movement, waves, spin and interaction from our ether. It's just there. And Earth didn't go through the ether. No, Earth and everything in is created from gathered matter systems in this system, and it's growing, but somewhere also it's compensated by everything. And another, I hope this is, I have to wait it a little and then I'm nearly finished, I think. Time to eat. I need a little water. So gravity is just attraction, and attraction follows not by a positive or negative force, just like you are positive and you are negative. It doesn't. There is a communication between it. For everything in our universe, just as we explain other people in the world what we think about or what we say, do, or no matter what we talk about or dream about or think about. There can be positive or negative, but it's only left or right turn or inner or outer spin, or it is bigger or smaller. There has to be a connection between everything. So between a particle and a wave, there has to be a connection. And to prove that, well, so it's actually, it's this. This one is, and I started with red, positive, negative. So there's always a balance between these two. This goes up, forward, and backward. So you see, thus on this point of zero, we got a photon, spin, wave movement, and on the other point, that's on this point, this is our wave. This is up, down, and this is forward, and this is back. And on every moment in this electromagnetic wave, there is a, this is sinus, there is always a spin, wave, photon, photon on this place, on this. And for every frequency you got less or more spin and waves, but also the amount of spin, the amount of interaction in our ether, in our world. And in all these thoughts and ideas about what's happening over here, so the only thing I added to all the science in the world there is, I'll give ether back to all these scientists, to the world, because an electromagnetic wave is what I do. Electromagnetic wave responds to a spin wave photon principle. And this is cosinus 90 degrees counterwise. It is sinus. This is what's happening in our universe, and from the smallest scale to the biggest scale, the creation from never started, never ending. So it never started and it's never ending. And of course it can be in this phase, dimension, properties, the density, you can call it, this is the entity, density, line of time and space. So, and there is still one thing that helped me to understand that there must be a spin. Here comes the spooky part of all. This is our sun, and this is Earth, and they're, and he's doing this, no matter how far an ellipse or just a circle, it doesn't matter. But it also, even the sun has a small spin, and even our Earth has a spin, even our moon that twists around us has not a spin because he is fixed in this combination of it all together. But everything, this matter, our Earth is created out of a spin, wave, particle, photon, all together, particles, combination, combined, gathered distortion of the field. So this is one phase, and this is the bigger phase, and this is bigger, and this is our universe, and these are atoms, and these are particles, and this is Earth, galaxy, and galaxy groups. For every dimension on this line, on this timeline, on this scale line, you got something like this. But it's all twisting, and they came up with a lot of ideas about creation as soon as the supernova created a big cloud. Every matter where it exists from, everything that's in here has a spin. Everything, the smallest, and gathered together, they are all right on this, not this side, on this dimension of our awareness of our time. So everything that's doing this thing in combination with its growing, some are growing, some are still alone. So in this combination, they will finally all get together. And with all the other forces that we know, they are created, some get it all together, and through time there becomes a sun. And why does it twist? Why does it create something like Mercury and Venus? And why is Mercury created? Because mass is not just a combination of mass. Mass is not just an attraction force by G. It's not just growth. And why is this centrifuge power created? Mass times speed to the system. Why is every combination of F, gravity, force, centrifuge force are just over there in the place? That means that all these spin moments, these interaction moments of our local space distortion gated forces together locally in time, millions of years, it's created this beautiful solar system. And this is scattered matter over there with other functions for this process, but still functioning this process, creating this process, creating this, creating this, creating this. It's just, you can call it fractal, but with a diversity of entities and different interactions. So it's not one formula, it's not Ix plus 1 and dan nog wat or something else, but this builds up, this side of this formula builds up, depending on where it's going to and where it is. And when this combines more than this, it will change that. When this combines more than this, it changes it. So it's always interacting. It's always on move. It's always living. It's twisting, turning, spinning all around. So when this Earth is not just a thing, a mass that just decided to go around the sun. Now all the interactions of this movement, electromagnetic forces, etc., etc. So this is also a electric motor. The sun is an electric motor, and even our Earth is a motor, and our moon and all the materials, all the other planets are actually some kind of gravity motors, because gravity is not a thing. This constant is not just a gloopy done thing, it's not just mass 1, mass 2, massa 1, massa 2, gravity force between them. It's just like that, you know. And when this is the sun and this is Earth and this is doing this way, this means there is an inertia spin on this sun and there is an inertia on this Earth, and together all these inertia forces are created. This it's going this way, centrifuge power force. So Earth is not just twisting because. No, it's not because of gravity force between these two planets, two masses, but it's also everything that's created here got an inner movement, spin in all the matter in this where it's combined, where it's gathered of, and every mass in this world, every planet, rock, and of course there can be a sudden astronomic event could have been placed, therefore this moon around us stands still for us, but it still moves on Earth. And then it means that when an Earth is twisting, around, that because every little particle of this Earth, and the heaviest in here, the iron core, and even heated up, creates a lot of electromagnetic forces and other forces, all gathered where it's all made of. So it's a constant made of system that works on the same scale where it actually is. So this creates a, for instance, right spin. Even the sun is a right spin, that one is a right spin, and some planets could have a bump on this place. So you have a right spin, but already created as a mass, there is some interaction taking place. Therefore, from of this sun, he is not vertically, but he is horizontally placed. So the inertia of every particle in this ball, in this mass of this Earth, is creating this twisting energy. And therefore, on space-time connectors, or how do you call it, there is an interaction because the speed of the local ether, the local platform of our universe, is speeding up, speeding up, speeding up, speeding up. Inside this massive ball like Earth, especially the Sun. And they all get some twist, and even galaxies with all these beautiful spiral arms had the same interaction. This is all, they have all something like a right, or maybe we look them upside down, even then there is a right turn twist of all the matter. And even we see it when we look at the universe and we see a galaxy this way, and we see another galaxy this way, there is always a so-called right spin, no matter how we twist him. There's always a right spin on mass and matter together, because every mass, as big as a planet, even a black hole, it got a huge, massive, gathered particles system from this tiny universal part to create something like that. So the twist is enormous and it's not bounded by other forces, so gravity overcome with all the other forces of expanding, of gathering matter. So therefore the black holes should probably maybe the recycling function, maybe that the recycling function of what's taking place in a model, something like this. So there's always this going on here and on the other place. There's always on this timeline an interaction with its function, and it's always recycling. We do it, we die and we recycle to another dust, to another star, etc., etc. So mass is not just a hanging ball with mass. It just didn't turn by hitting by rocks and stones. The asteroid belt, there is nothing twisting. They are just gathered there in a balanced place. They're just balanced. They are not close enough for this, and they are not close enough for that. That's what happened. And in a million times later on, they probably will be affected and maybe gathered, or they will always be hanging out there in this balance. Just like there is a planet, or a galaxy, or a group of galaxies. So, life started all over here. Life in the universe is this basic thought about this, is also what they do in CERN with their experiments, and when they watch with the James Watt telescope. Not over there, but you can look everywhere, because it started not with a dot. It's just we are somewhere on this place, and then in time and space. Here, right now. And they say that our, related on the redshift model, the Big Bang was therefore created the inflation model. We are halfway our living time on our solar system on Earth, and they also say that we are living halfway the existence of our universe on our universe. Well, this is never ending, and this is always changing. So we are constantly interacting with matter, and we dissolve in smaller matter. We combine and we dissolve. And it can be locally, partially on these places. And this highest speed and the highest spin, the smallest part, and as bigger as its exposure, the bigger its existence, the bigger the existence is from matter, atoms, mass, Earth, we, and a galaxy or a galaxy group, or further on in the universe is actually further on in the universe, and every particle is in there. So the inertia in every particle, in every light beam, everything there is inertia is on the CERN. They do a spin in combination with a wave and the amount of energy and C quadrat of it. But this one over here is related for where it is measured, depending on the gathered mass. It's created from the same stuff. So the speed of light helped me to think about something else. Light has to travel as a wave through something, and when they know the existence of photons, then you can create a wave, or you can create a photon. It's just the equipment what you does. You can create a wave in water, but you can also sprinkle water. You can have mist, water, rain, etc. You can throw a bowl of water, something over there, something like that. But it's an interaction of our ether. So I think finally, eventually, and then I will stop this lecture. Please reinstall ether. Don't be afraid of redshift and other things. Light doesn't just travel frequency, high frequency, a lower frequency, and a very low frequency. And maybe, and this were photons. When you send millions of photons from one light bulb, they would eventually only bump to each other. If this, in this principle, photons stays where they are, in this local time, place, frame, wherever they are. So photons don't have to travel. Photons are an interaction of the electromagnetic force where they are created from. So it's an interaction. You have to see it as a swirl. So therefore, photons doesn't have to travel, so they don't have to have any mass or speed. You create some kind of mass in this particle framework where they are invented to measure and to combine. And also the wave can travel through everything. You can have trillions of waves, and when a wave with frequency of thousands, and this is a frequency, it's barely impossible to create an exact counterclockwise frequency so that they, in this interaction through this path, that it crosses through the ether to our universe platform, it's nearly impossible. So therefore, all the light waves can be created. And at every interaction, it is a photon that it's extracted. So all these photons are not moving, so they don't have to have any mass. They are just changing in this static dynamic universe. I call it ether is a static dynamic universe platform, and every interaction, as small as to be seen from here, and probably further on that side. When you shoot a photon this way and a photon this way, it always bounces to each other. It's impossible to get so much photons in our universe. They will be bounced endlessly so there will be no left behind. But when it's functioning like this, it doesn't need any mass. It's only an interaction of the electromagnetic force in this spin wave photon interaction system, where our universe exists from in, out, under, third. So this is my idea about gravity and space. No time. There is time. There is only, we got 3 dimensions. Maybe a small part here. We got here, and later on, when something is bigger, then it's only 3D, and this is 3D accent, and it calls times t. There is no 4th dimension. It would be, it cannot be, space-time cannot be existing. It's only, something is here, and later on it's somewhere else, or bigger or smaller. It's only interaction in this dimension, dissolving, compressing, inflation. So all this called redshift and space-time and expanding universe, so the Big Bang, is all coming from that. But I think it's enough for today. I will paste it, this lecture, later on today on YouTube. I hope people will be inspired by my 3 thoughts. Let ether live. Light doesn't travel as it was a product that you can buy in the grocery store. Photons, you can't buy them. Gravity, you can't buy them. Gravity cannot. When I got 2 things, there will be nothing in the universe that says plus and minus, they will attract each other. But as soon as they twist in the same direction, in all the universe, all the particles, they can combine. And of course, nothing is 100% the same. There's always a slight other distortion, and so they can be created combined matter in this called experiments, what they achieve in CERN and other institutes over the world. That's it. I am free to go, I think. I have no boundaries for light. I have no boundaries for mass. Mass isn't just it's a box of balls. It's an interaction of our local world, our local place. And the entities of the dimensions move on this scale of dimensions. I rest my case. I hope people will understand me. I really hope it, because then there is no quarrel about a wave-particle duality. There will always be the twin paradox stays the same. For instance, when this speed of light changes through this gated matter force interaction of the universe locally, in this formula you got then to a variation of the speed of light. Therefore, there is also the theory of a twin paradox exists in the same system, but you change the dilatation of time otherwise, not by a constant of speed, but by a constant momentum from that speed, wherever it is. From a simple Earth, or mass, or black hole, or star, or galaxy, etc. So no one has to be afraid. Everything fits in. There is nothing new about it. But I linked this thing a long time ago, and a planet doesn't twist. Every galaxy, a planet doesn't just twist because it's just hit by some rocks or just, they don't know. Because every every mass is a combined, twisted energy system, and it's interacting. And of course, I don't know where the universe is made of. I don't know. But I think it's never started, it never ended, and ether is just a so-called thing that we call the platform, an energy, mass energy interaction field where we live in. And that's life, that's our universe, and I think it's beautiful, really beautiful. So don't hesitate to share my movies, don't hesitate to tell others from, there is a crazy guy, he's complete out of his box, but he thinks also out of his box, and therefore I'm free to think. And never, where I watched and where I looked, I see people saying something like this. I never seen people saying, why is this earth twisted? Why is there a turn? Why are these around it? Because there's also another, I give you a small, I hope, and then I really must stop. I use this part, I wipe out this information, you just dissolve to another matter. But then comes this. Oh, I must use this things. When this is the sun, and this is earth, and this is going this way. And this one has a twist. I say, I estimated right. It could be. They're always in the same twisting directions. All the planets, and there are some. And there are always people like me. They are different, but in this trajectory over here. But there's also something, other beautiful thing that we have to realize. The distance of when it makes one turn in 24 hours, and this turn is 1 year, then there's something beautiful happen, because you all know when you got a wheel over here, this point, when this wheel rolls over, it goes in this direction. You got the cycloid, and when you are moving from here to there, and then is that when you started here, and it's here, over there, and it ends over here, you got this, it made this trajectory. And this point is only moving over this line, in this time. In this time, when this thing twists, this rolls over, it makes this direction. So the other makes this direction. That means that every point of mass in this thing, every point, wherever I look, is making this strange behavior. So it's always, so this is always there. Every point when I take will always have the same rub. So every particle, when I'm here on Earth, I'm standing here at the equator, then I will make such a movements. So that means it speeds up and slows down, speeds up and slows down. And it twists then every 24 hours in 1 year over its total length during this trajectory around this ellipse around the sun. So then the Earth is twisting in this direction. So the Earth keeps on spinning rightways. So every particle on Earth has the same. Every particle on Earth has the same distance. And on the other side, there is the other point counterwise doing this. So, but it's not twisting it, it's just, it's this and this. And the other one is doing this and this. So when I line up, so I come up, yeah. So every particle on Earth make this sudden. So there is an acceleration Fc, that is mass, speed divided by the distance, r. And of course there's a combined g m1 m2 divided. Sorry. And some. So this is a combination where this forces and that force combines, but there's also constantly a sudden speed up moment for every part on Earth. So every part makes a little, while it's going around Earth. But because this is in balance with this and this with this, so there is no anti-movement from the Earth. But every place on Earth, and it's not 100% a solid planet, but there is some kind of movement around the Earth. At the center, at the top of the Earth, there will be no such thing. It's just twisting around this axis. But every outer point got also some centrifugal power. While it's twisting, it's having a centrifugal power while it's turning, and it has a cycloid. Only in this one. It's not this one. It doesn't make this movement. It just makes this movement. For the outer region, and then for the inner region, it means this. So our Earth doesn't spin just like that. All the planets doesn't spin just like that. All the electrons, all the particles in our matter doesn't just do what they do. There's always something that creates what they're doing. In their interaction, the timeline of our beautiful dimension, our beautiful universe. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope I have tried to explain quite complex but easy, that things that cannot be help me to understand that it must be otherwise. And so therefore I came up with solutions that it's just not turning around and on this time scale. And what is happening here, there is no beginning, there is no ending, there is no solid thing that we buy, there is not a frequency that we can buy in a store that creates our universe. Thank you. It's for me time to drink something. I'm going to eat, I'm going to rest, and I will place this moving on internet. And I really hope that other people will try to understand me. They can invite me for a lecture, or they can try to discuss. I don't discuss on internet because that it's huge. There will people, that's God, or it's impossible. It's when it's freaky. I don't do that. I will not react. I only communicate real time with people, and then I can explain small parts, or I can help them, or they can help me to fill in the slight things that I maybe not completely understand. But in the total process of this is standing here, light and the twisting of our planets and stars and galaxies. Twisting and light are for me the proof that this exists. and mass is a gathered, local, enforced, gathered particle combination. So I thank you, and maybe we meet again in the future.